Okay, if everyone's ready, please take your places. Good morning. Thank you all once again for your amazing attendance the whole week. Hope you find our event interesting. Yesterday we had amazing and very interesting discussions and food for thought. And I have to thank for that Dr. Yorakis, Dr. Eisenberg, Dr. Adolfopoulos, Dr. Passas, Dr. Yakovou, Dr. Zanis, Mr. Karabanis, Mr. Kalchas, and all the other contest winners, with Mr. Goudzis, Mrs. Tsinzu, and Mrs. Foskolos, Mr. Tsekurakis, Mr. Mavrogenis, and Mr. Boufis. After that, we had a very entertaining and very fun workshop with Lotimo Foundation. There are actually, we know them personally, and there are people like us, they actually search for Lotimo when people, something that most people think we have lost. But I think in the end, we're all gonna, if we find inside ourselves, we're gonna find it and help them continue their efforts. Today, Friday, we continue on the last day of our conference. Of course, never forget our invitation to you for the evening for our closing ceremony on the Greece General Consulate in Boston. And today we start with Mr. Dimitri Patitsas, founder and managing director of Excella Ventures and co-founder of Honeycomb, who will talk us about entrepreneurship is a Greek word. Mr. Patitsas,
very good. So first of all, thank you all for coming. I really believe that had the opportunity arisen, I would have loved to have been here 3 days prior. And I know we have an intimate group here, but you know, if there's going to be any kind of impact in Greece or in the Americas or in ourselves, it's going to start with a core, you know, an individual core group. And so I like to think of the black and white photos. Looking back, we'll look at this event, people in this room as those who have self-identified, they've self-proclaimed themselves as those who are interested in Greece, are interested in impacting Greece and being part of the solution for the country of Greece and really the world as a whole. With that said, thank you for the warm introduction. I really like to thank Christos. I'm still trying to solve the riddle as to you know, how one goes about organizing something internationally, let alone foreign languages and logistics. And can anyone find parking here? You know, there's all these added benefits of you know, added challenges of doing something abroad. So I really want to. In fact, let's just hear a round of applause for our organizers, because they really put themselves with that said, I'm very flattered to begin today's presentation, to begin today's theme on entrepreneurship with my own presentation titled Entrepreneurship, a Greek Word. Okay? And with that said, we'll get to that maybe near the end of the presentation. But I'm told you I have about 25 to 35 minutes, and we'll cut it shorter then for Q&A. But I'd like to think that the presentation that we provide today is kind of an interesting marriage between the in the trenches, hands-on entrepreneurship work that I've spent my life working on these past 12 years, and also kind of the academic entrepreneurship view from the Bachelor's of Entrepreneurship I gained at Juniata, and also a Master's recently from Pennsylvania University here in central Pennsylvania. So it's wonderful to be here. And so I'd like to preview the presentation by saying there are two parts to this presentation. The first is I'm going to talk a little about my own narrative, my own story in entrepreneurship, and my own identity as a Greek American. And then second, I'm going to talk about the 8, commandments, so to speak. I felt lacked for 2, could have called it the 10 commandments of a modern Greece, a prosperous Greece. But these will be the 2 components, the 2 lungs of today's presentation. So with that said, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, born in the United States. I have 5 brothers. We used to punch each other a lot. I even have a twin brother, and so I like to think that we kind of gained a competitive spirit from the very beginning. Along with that, my father, he is an Orthodox Christian priest in the Greek Orthodox Church. He's also an eye surgeon, a medical doctor, an ophthalmologist, which is also a Greek word, right? So what I like to think of is, talk about a childhood crisis. If you have anything you do wrong, you get the spiritual end of why it's wrong. And if you try to argue the physiological part of why it's wrong, he gets you there too. So, thank God for dads, they know it all. I also wanted to acknowledge that I have some extended family that are in shipping in Greece. And I, as a consequence of that, lived and worked in Greece myself for about a year's time, off and on over the past number of years. So with that said, though, I want to share a vulnerable moment about myself. And that is that although I have this Greek heritage, 87.5% Greek, the last name with an S, all these distinguished professors with S's at the end of their names here today. What I don't, and what I cannot claim is that then mila linika. I don't speak Greek. I don't speak Greek, and that will be my life shame, so to speak. But luckily for a wonderful wife, I'm on the mend. She's teaching me. With that said, I want to point out that I have an Oriental friend who was born in Greece, and he speaks perfect Greek. And on top of that, I have a cousin who was born in Greece, speaks perfect Greek, has worked in Greece, but what does he want to do? He wants to leave Greece. So all these kind of odd contradictions. Who is Greek? Who's more Greek? Is the Oriental more, or genetically I'm more Greek, but he's not. He speaks Greek, and all these confusing things. And I think part of the question we have to ask ourselves as Greeks is, God Greek? Are we Greek? And how do we define where do the boundaries of Greekness begin and end? And I think part of the solution that you'll hear over the next 25 minutes that we'll talk about is how we can sort of reach out to the ends of this definition as a way of arming Greece with proper tools and resources to make it a prosperous modern Greece. Okay? So that said, I'm going to take a little different direction. And the different direction I'm going to take is to share with you my entrepreneurial story as a way of providing some generative themes that help me answer this question of my Greek identity as well as how do you reach a modern Greece. So let's proceed. You may ask yourselves, where does one begin? Are entrepreneurs born? Are they taught? Are they nurtured? Are they genetically coded? What is an entrepreneur? Well, let me tell you a narrative, and it begins with an ice cream truck business. Okay? I was 17 years old. I applied to about a dozen universities around the United States. Of course, the custom in the United States is that you wait for all your acceptance letters, and then you pick the one geographically furthest from home, right? We all do, Well, that was not my path. In fact, I chose to go to a small liberal arts school called Juniata, about 10 minutes away drive from my parents' home. And I decided that if I was going to live there in this hometown that I grew up, I was going to leverage my local connections, local connections. And so my first venture, I started out as a medical chemistry biology student, and then I got involved in this program called the Juniata College Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership. What they do is they give you up to $5,000 to start your own business. And if you fail, the seed money is forgiven. But if you succeed, you pay it back in a revolving fund that helps other students. And so I thought, I'm a student, I want something seasonal, and I like ice cream, and other people like ice cream. So first ice cream venture you can imagine. And you may ask yourselves, where do you buy an ice cream truck? Well, eBay. That's where you buy an ice cream trucks. And so at the age of 18 years old, I remember the fateful night, sometime in October, I was on eBay trying to outbid some bastard in Michigan somewhere, and And most exciting 60 seconds of my life, But I won the truck. I threw all the money I was worth as a 18-year-old nothing, and put that together along with some loan money from a secured loan product, and I found myself my ice cream truck business. But that didn't just end there. I decided to kind of transition from medical school, and you can imagine my parents. I tell them, that there's a $38,000 tuition bill, and I tell them I aspire to be an ice cream man. Right? And of course, they're wondering, why are you going down the medical route to become a lawyer and a doctor? We've all heard it from our parents. That's the secure route. But there's really nothing entrepreneurial in that route, and we'll in one way or another. So let's keep talking about it. So that was 2005. Every year I buy another truck. This is our first ice cream woman. She, nice black bow tie, white uniform look. Years after that, another truck. And then eventually 6 push carts and 3 trucks, and we were all over central Pennsylvania. And again, I'm this poor, pathetic college student who's everyone feels sorry for because I drive an ice cream truck. I'll tell you, there was no apologies, and that got me through university debt-free. My books, my tuition, you name it. This business was real, and I learned some fundamental principles that I think if we throw out the window, that we have to start Dell or Microsoft or Uber in order to make an impact as a young person, that we can gain experience. What you'll notice is that the principles I learned in the ice cream truck business, I was the owner, the customer, the employee, the manager, all these different roles you learn, it forced you to be nimble, and it forced you to be articulate and ready on your feet. So, that was 101 entrepreneurship for me. But it didn't stop there. I spent a summer filming entrepreneurs, interviewing small startups in the mornings. I sold ice cream from 12 noon to 7 p.m. every day. But from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, I could film small business entrepreneurs for the college. And so when I had a question about payroll for my business, I would insert that in my interview listing for the small business interviews. I had a question about accounting or legal work, I'd throw that again into the interview. This is the entrepreneurial process, kill multiple birds with one stone. But it didn't end there either. In 2006, as a junior in undergrad, I traveled to Barcelona, Spain. I thought, man, if I'm ever going to learn to dance, it better be now, or knowing will see me afterwards, after the lesson, And so I went there hoping to learn Spanish. I learned that when I arrived in Barcelona, they speak Catalan, which is a French-Spanish dialect, So anyways, here you can get a sense of my language, legacy here that's riddled with threats and disaster. But I will tell you that I did learn the language of dance, and when I returned that year later after starting the ice cream business, I realized that in the evenings after 7 o'clock, I could now teach salsa dance and bachata and some of the Greek dance as well that I had learned. And so again, this is an entrepreneurial path that started with an ice cream truck, started in a small way, but it continues to grow. And now, to this day, we've taught over 7,000 students around Pennsylvania. When you think of Pennsylvania, you think of the Amish. When I think of Pennsylvania, I think of some damn good dancers. And that's from 101 Salsa. So here we are. I also want to share with you that part of my passion is not only my Greek heritage, but also my Orthodox Christian faith. And so my twin brother and I always include this photo here just so everyone can believe me here. Twin brother, Panayoti and I, we founded a nonprofit organization called St. Paul's Fellowship of Labor, and that was in 2005. We realized that during spring breaks, summer breaks, we could organize service trips to help distressed Orthodox Christian communities around the world. We are now in our 10th year. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this March. We are in 7 countries. We've had over 2,000 participants. And we just finished this past January with a trip to Jerusalem, the Holy Land. We met the patriarch there, and we continue to do kind of service-oriented trips. In fact, one of our most major ones occurred in the island of Anusis, where the Annunciation Convent had a forest fire, and we sent a group there for 6 weeks, not 6 days, but 6 weeks to help with the deforestation project. So these are real things, real action steps. I like to think it's creating a culture of entrepreneurship, both in the States and abroad. Moving forward, one of our trips with St. Paul's Fellowship of Labor, everyone feels sorry for me when I tell them I work for, I do nonprofit work for the church. Oh, you poor guy, you got to stand all day in church, and all they do is fast, and all these virginity things, all that. The reality is I can't thank my Christian faith more. And the reality the opportunities I've had have been a result of these trips. And Long Island, Bahamas, if you've never been there, 180 miles south of Nassau, Bahamas, one of the last, frontiers of the Caribbean. They just got power 20 years ago. While we were building a church there, I realized there were a lot of properties that were for sale, and no one wanted. So myself and 4 other guys, we came together, we threw some money together. I chose not to buy a new car, but used. And with the money I would have bought a new car, along with their money for new cars that was not used, we bought this piece of land, 1.25 acres, that we're now building a facility, a retreat for Orthodox Christian youths, and also perhaps entrepreneurship endeavors here on the island. But again, came from the church, came from the entrepreneurship. You plant the seed, it grows. So watch what you're looking for. But let me tell you that all occurred prior to my graduation in 2007, in May of 2007, and I learned a powerful principle, and I hope that you'll take it away with you here, those students here, that you don't have to be 35 years old to start impacting the world around you. I think our Greek Economic Forum here speaks to that they're overcoming language barriers and across the transatlantic travel and this and that and jet lag. You don't have to be 35. In fact, if you want to waste your time and others, wait till you're 35 and you realize your health, Albert Einstein is, what was he, 26? Napoleon, 30, Jesus, our Savior Jesus Christ, 30 years old, he started his ministry. People start young. Warren Buffett, he didn't want to be a billionaire after he became a billionaire. He wanted to be a billionaire at the age of 8. Awesome book, The Avalanche, The Snowball, from Warren Buffett. So my takeaway leading up to this part of the narrative is dismiss the notion you have to be 35 to start impacting the world around you. So then you graduate and you go through this panic. You've been sold the story that you go to elementary school and you graduate and you walk down and mom cheers from the sidelines. Then you go to high school and maybe you got in the top 5 of the class or some awards for athletics. And then you graduate, you go to college, then you want to get a job, you want to get a house, a dog, and rights, then you die. That's kind of a linear progression a very devastating linear narrative that we paint for ourselves. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, it can be very different. And so this became my reality post-graduation in 2007. I had a cousin of mine whose family had been in the shipping business from Anusas. He was starting his own shipping company. He needed talent. He needed young people who wouldn't know what too much work was, right? So he recruited his 22-year-old cousins from the United States, along with a couple other people. And it was great. It was great to be at Petitsa's with the CEO and the owner at Petitsa's. And I would never apologize when we went to a restaurant, they'd see the reservation, they thought I was the owner. Of course, I'm Petitsa's. I'm just Petitsa's. I walk through and the boats, etc. But what was exciting about this is that you immediately got a whirlwind immersion in the trenches experience of what Greece and startup and status classes in Greece. We have them. What it is to be Greek and trying to find a work in Greece. And so I came across these 3 key observations while working in Greece. I was there from November until midsummer. What I learned while we were going IPO and then the whole market crashed 2008 and that went out the window were a couple key takeaways. First is that Greeks don't hire Greeks. It's such a tragedy. I was in the HR department, and we go through 40 resumes, and all these resumes would be PhD, master students, this, and this from Athens, from the prestigious Thessaloniki Institute, you name it. And then they come across the community college American Greek who happen to be visiting, and we put them to the front. And this happened over and over again throughout, not just our company, but in other companies as well. Well, why was that? What is it about the Greek education that's not valued as compared to an American education? Something to be thought about. It's a reality. Moving on, I learned a lot about the Greek secular life, that you either delay marriage or decide not to have any children. My brother, he just married his wife, Polish descent. We were living in Athens, and people, when they come over, they want to check all the rooms. What do they want to check all the rooms for? They were convinced that at the age of 22, the only reason you get married is because you had a baby on the way. That's the only reason that someone in their same mind would get married. So, fortunately for them, or unfortunately, My father was married at 22. My grandfather was married at 22. My great-grandfather was married at 22. And then the family tree disappears after that, right? But I was the black sheep because I just got married at 29, so who was the better twin? He's actually in medical school pursuing the father's path, right? So, yeah, I'm not bitter, I'm bitter. Anyway, all I need to say is, the reality here is that in the Greek culture, if you want to kick ass, you want a wife and children to motivate you to kick ass. And if you don't have that, what do you do? What do you spend your time? You spend the best hours of your day recovering from the hangover or from blowing all your money the day before. And then we wonder, why is Greece in peril and we don't create great ideas? Because all our ideas are being drained in the nightclub. And I'm not saying I was out there. I was a salsa dancer. Okay, this is me too, right? But I will also say that there is a balance. And I'll tell you another disaster in Greece, and I'm a victim of it, is the Greek mother syndrome. That we have the son sitting on the couch as his mother makes him lukanika and souvlaki and everything else he wants, and tells him he has to delay, don't go to university, don't work. Again, I'm making broad generalizations, huge brushstrokes here, and I don't mean to offend anyone. But these are real things that we face in Greece. That before we talk about economic policy and foreign diplomacy and blah, 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 let's just get things right at the home. So, chicken noodle soup for the Greek. Moving forward, livable wage. Luckily for us, because we were cousins, we got paid about 1,500 euros a month. Okay, but the average wage in Greece was about 800 euros a month. So what is it about the Greek wage? Again, 22-year-old getting paid double of what a native Greek who's far more superior and far more educated, didn't make sense. All I can say is something has to change. And of course, that's why we're here. But let me tell you what really happened. I came to the end of the 10 months, near a year of time in Greece. And I felt so frustrated with the scenario in Greece. I said, forget it. I'm helping people who are already wealthy get more wealthy. And we'll talk a little bit later about kind of the tax schemes behind the Posidonia events and the dozens of Greece shipping companies throughout Greece. And I realized that I wanted to get out of it. So I flew back to the United States and accepted a position to work in Guatemala. For those of you who don't know it, it's El Corazón de los Mayas. It's the land of the Mayan world. I think there's some neat parallels along with Greece starting with a G, Guatemala starts with a G. Greece claimed its independence in 1821. Guatemala claimed its independence in 1821. Greeks claimed to be the center of the world. The Guatemalan considered himself the center of the Mayan world. Greeks speak, just kidding, obviously they speak completely different. What I mean to say here is that there are a lot of parallels. About the same population, about 14 million people. Greece is just under 11 million, plus or minus based on the source. What I mean to say is that there were some principles here, like the ice cream truck business, like the dance company, like the St. Paul's Fellowship nonprofit, that I continue to learn. So I'm going to share a few of those learning with you. Theobroma, a Greek word for the drink of the gods. Believe it or not, until Columbus came to Central America in 1492, Europe didn't know what chocolate was. But when you guys think of chocolate, you probably think of Germany, Switzerland, you name it, right? Could you imagine a world without chocolate for 1,500 years? Thank God we live now. Right? So Columbus came there, he cultivated the chocolate, he brought it back. Thank God for Guatemala. Coffee, of course, we can't claim Greeks or Guatemalans, as much as we like to claim that we are the source of coffee. But high elevation shade grown coffee. What are the things in Greece that are their origins are found in Greece, but we don't know them for it. In Guatemala, some of the world's best coffee. But when you think of coffee, you might think of Brazil, you might think of Colombia, you might think of Starbucks, but you don't think of the high elevation shade grown coffee cultivated at 5,000 plus feet in the highlands of Guatemala. So again, what is this about branding and marketing that we're missing? Moving on, these beautiful mountains. Again, does Greece have places that we don't appreciate fully? And then you have instability. You have civil wars. You also have this area here. It's called the Basurero of Guatemala. You want to give a Greek or anyone, first and foremost, the United States, a wake-up call. This is called the Pit. It's in the city dump of Guatemala. And this is the reality for a lot of people. This is the reality of their homes. But I'm not here to gild anyone. What I want to tell you is I went to Guatemala with all this Atlas Maritime and FOE and all these other shipping company experiences, which were valuable, which were relevant. And then I came to Guatemala. I said, what are the principles I learned in Greece that are relevant in Guatemala and vice versa? And so I worked for a school. I spent 6 months working at a school for disadvantaged children, and I'll tell you, my face hurt every day because the kids they want to hold you and run after you and play soccer and football, and they're big fans of Greece, by the way. They were all rooting them on the World Cup, so a lot of connections here. But it was an amazing time, and I came to the end of the 6 months period, and I realized this phenomenon. I call it the NGO's dilemma, the non-government organization's dilemma. And that is that the volunteer arrives with this initial hurrah moment, kind of like we're here now, right? The energy's high, we're here to network, we're here to learn, and then we had this surge. You get donations, you get people who are interested in all the nuances of the NGO and the organization helping children, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, they leave. And what happens? The organization loses the talent, they lose the network, there's no overlap, and all that momentum is lost. So, how is this relevant to Greece? Well, we'll talk a little later about the diaspora and Philo-Hellenes and all these people out there and these kinds of conferences that if we don't follow up to this conference, we wasted our time and each other's. So my takeaway here was that it's all about follow-up and maintaining that connection. And so what did I decide to do? I came in the 6 months, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take my ice cream truck background and travel and this and that and suntan or whatever, and let's create an organization that will provide an entrepreneurial lens, not just to a disadvantaged school, but to multiple organizations throughout Guatemala, orphanages, farms, banana plantations, you name it. And so we created Excellent Ventures, and we kind of created this holistic approach to approaching social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship in Guatemala, travel, service, business, you name it. And the fundamental why, you can find this on TED Talk. I forget the author at the moment, but he talks about a lot of people when they go up on that Price is Right, they say, who are you? They start with the what. I'm a father, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm a mom. They may get to the how of, I look at the greatest research, I apply it on my patients, or I love my children so much, I look after them every day, and I'm the entrepreneur of the house, keeping everything together. But few people get to the why. Why do you do what you do? And after I saw this TED Talk, I was very moved. I started thinking, man, do I even know why I'm here? Like what I'm doing? Well, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? What's the point? And our mantra here with Excellent Ventures is we believe that the best way to unlock your unique gifts and potential is by helping others unlock theirs. And so I think part of this conference, part of why we're here, is to help Greece in as much as it's going to help us as well unlock our own gifts. And we hope at the end of there's a beautiful, finished Parthenon finally, as a result of our cooperation. So moving forward, I learned that there are 5 X factors, we call them, okay, that identified in my own personal work to kind of separate the difficult NGO versus the one you want to partner with, and there's real scalability. What I mean by that is, do they do what they say they do? And I'm sure there are a lot of parallels in Greece. I have not personally started a small business in Greece, but what I observed was that no matter where you are, in the 7 countries I've operated, you need to have an honest, ethical, moral base that you can work with those people. When they say they're going to give the money to the orphans, or they're going to invest in their chicken farm, or work with microfinance, they're going to do what they say they do. Second, is it locally based? There's no absentee ownership. It's hard to legislate from Greece or from the United States to do anything. You need people on the ground who are going to find the clicker and put it in the laptop and create a successful event. If you don't have that person here, it fails. Scalability. Do they recognize that what they're doing can scale? And it has magnitude. Entrepreneurial spirit and joyful spirit. What I mean by joyful spirit is that any one of us can be justified and angry. I don't know who wants to work with an angry person, a bitter person. We want to work with people that, despite every reason, of wanting to be angry, they decide to be joyous, and that also, I think, ties very much into this this Greek ethos, which also very much comes from an Orthodox Christian base, and we can discuss further as well. So this is sort of the 7-step process that we outline in terms of how we vet organizations. I would encourage us, as we view Greece, how do we begin relationships? And a lot of that's about breaking bread, having lunches, having dinners, cooking for people, A wise man once told me, he said, if you want to meet any girl, not keep any girl, but you want to meet any girl, you got to do three things. You got to be able to cook, play cards, and dance. I don't know where the cards come in, but you know. Anyways, I am married, and you know, I took his advice, and you know, all I can say is, you know, well done. So with that said, this 7-step process, it's about relationship building and testing the relationship, and then coming back and pivoting and testing it again, and then building towards a long-term dialogue. And where Excel Ventures, I think, has a real niche is even when these university groups are gone, or even when the NGO or the United Way money is gone, we're still there to implement. We're still there to execute. So these are some of the families. If any of you guys are over 5 feet tall, you're a giant in Guatemala. So be a little, you know, boost. You know, come visit with me. These are some of the mothers there. It's a after-school program. They provide something like 400 meals a day to children, distressed children. I imagine there's many of those also in Athens, and we've seen them. This right here is one of our partners. It's called a Trauma. It's a cooperative of 400 women who weave, and then they resell their items at a fair market price. And what we did is we took a fashion designer from Canada. We brought her down. She created more kind of modern feel bags. Anyone want to buy them? Anyway, go online, you can find these things, right? And she kind of modernized, you know, the ancient practice of the textile. Something to think about for Greece today. This right here is the basurero again, all the people there. How do you pull these people out of this pit? Well, they took recyclable material from magazines and they made jewelry. And we sell this jewelry on behalf of these women, on behalf of this organization called Camino Seguro, Safe Passage, again, through the help of our network and our sponsors. What are the under-realized opportunities in Greece that we could apply similar principles to? This right here is a macadamia farm. You want to talk about the peak of entrepreneurship? Just like Pepsi gives away refrigerators if you sell their Pepsi Coke drinks, these guys, if you they give away macadamia trees, and then if you sell the macadamia nuts back to them, it creates an income for the family, and they get the trees for free. And then what does the farm do? They create this big macadamia farm experience for visitors. They make macadamia pancakes, and then they extract the oils from the macadamia nut, and they create natural skincare products. And those are sold all over the world. We're one of the distributors as well with Excel Ventures. Again, what are the things in Greece that we are overlooking that could create not only a product, but an experience and a community to rally behind those products? Again, some of the families, the communities that we impacted, and we've accumulated about 40 partners, and they're scattered about 7 different countries, but our main focus and success has been in Guatemala. How can we pull that single minute back to Greece? So with that said, that is my personal narrative. And those are some of the main takeaways. But for the next 7 minutes, I'd like to go through and ask you this question. What should Greece do? If you read different newspapers, they'll say we should drop the euro like the United Kingdom, you know, and stay within the EU. We should officially go bankrupt and not apologize for it. Perhaps we should raise taxes and increase the retirement age. Liquidate several of the 3,000 Greek islands, inhabited or uninhabited, and see what we can do. Cut spending. You know, all these I think are logical, reasonable. You know, who knows? We can do, and I'm sure lots of discussion has been had on these very themes throughout the week. But which of these items, you know, should we be concerned about? Well, I'll tell you, I'm not concerned about any of this. Let me just tell you about 8 practical steps that we could take to impact people in Greece. Okay? And to do that, let me one. So first, if you can't beat them, join them. I'll tell you, in the shipping industry, and I'll say, Atlas Maritime was, I like to think, one of the better and brighter of the companies. But our company was incorporated in the Marshall Islands. Our ships were owned in Liberia. We had Bohemian flags, and our offices are in Athens, Greece. And that is dozens and dozens of shipping companies throughout Athens. And then we wonder why we don't get tax revenues. You know, because the whole thing is just a big, confusing mess. And so if we can't, if the system is working currently, if we can't beat them, let's join them. Can we simply change our tax system so we can at least capture some revenues from these confusing, nebulous scenarios that we observe in these large companies? Second, Greece at large, 25% of the Greek population, allegedly by the economist, does not pay their taxes. And why would they when they feel that their taxes are going to be waste, they're going to go off to someone's pension, they're going to go off to some corrupt official? If we can align and regain this trust, I think this is what this conference is about, is saying that we are making action, we are grooming leaders. Can we make this correction? And can we identify where we're weak and manage it appropriately? Second, university partnerships and exchanges. Everyone thinks about Africa for whatever reason. I mean, I love Africa. I spent time in South Africa myself, in Egypt, in Morocco. There are brothers too. But what I will tell you is that we also need help in Greece. And so, can our Harvard professors here, or our MIT, or Boston College, Boston U, can we start bringing people to Greece and make effective impacts in a short period of time, and then have a thread there to keep going? Can we create inexpensive and professional hosting educational experiences? And second, as we go back, these service learning trips, can we just create a culture that Greece is welcoming, Greece wants your impact, it wants your knowledge, and see where the relationship goes from there. Third, the Greek diaspora and Phil-Hellenes. There are an estimated 7 million Greeks. I've seen as low as 3 million, upwards of 10 million, basically matching the population of Greece abroad, centered in these 4 areas and multiple others, but these are the main centers. Can we create a motivation for them to buy in Greece, to invest in Greece, to have bank accounts in Greece? Can we use this diaspora to come to Greece and live and learn, to create extra income? We'll talk about this in a moment. Come to Greece with a startup company. How can we? I have longed myself to go to Greece and for 2 seconds wear an F-zone suit. You got to be over like 6 feet tall and all that kind of stuff. I qualify, but I will never be able to do that because I have to serve in the military and go through all the citizenship stuff that I can never follow and seems too complicated and too long. So can we eliminate some of these requirements for people who were not born in Greece and give them some privileges, and in order to, again, create tax revenues and create startups and ideas? Something to think about. Number 4, 2 companies which I live and breathe by, Uber.com and Airbnb.com. Let me jump to Airbnb quickly. The extra income in the major cities, if someone does this full time, an average of $20,000 of extra income. $20,000, we're not talking $20 or $200, even $2,000. We're talking $20,000 extra income. In Greece, what are there, 18 million visitors to Greece a year? Of course, they all go through the islands, but they have to go through the Thessaloniki or Athens. We know that. They're going to stay there at least a night, and they don't want to spend ridiculous amounts of money. Can we enable our Yagas and Papus and our Fios and Vias to make a little extra money? Uber.com, and I understand, the taxi industry is tough to break into, especially in these kind of patriarchal systems. But they talk about Uber taking the medium revenue for a taxi company from 37,000 to 74,000. So again, are there ways that we can lift the middle class today to make more money for their home? Not these lofty, let's give everyone a severance package. Let's just do it today. Let's sign them up right now. Let's call your mom and dad. Let's do it now. Who cares about the next step after that? We'll solve that afterwards. So the next thing, babies or bust. This is the growth rate for Greece. It's in decline. And what little growth rate that we've had is really from immigration, migrant peoples. And 9% of the population accounts for that, and that's where they see any growth. It's more so in that immigration population. And so we need to start, admiring our wives and our husbands a little more, and reverse this attitude that somehow we're below ourselves to start having families. If we're going to pay, like in the U.S., we have almost 3 people per person to help them support them in their retirement. We have to start doing the same in Greece. And again, I just put this modern day St. Nicholas Planas there as an example. But Greece is an Orthodox country. Maybe it will always be, maybe it won't always be, but it's an Orthodox country. Maybe there's some sense that some of the values that we learned that we feel ashamed of, and maybe it makes sense to have children. So again, thank God for God. Moving forward, getting to Greece. It is so expensive and so complicated to get to Greece. Even if you're at JFK, I just came from there this morning. There are 18 million visitors, and 50% of that, or 50% of GDP comes from tourism. But it's so complicated. From Paris, $800. I checked last night. If you go a month from today, and anyone who wants to come with me to Europe, right? You will pay $800 per person for Paris. You'll pay $1,200 with one stop in Shanghai, but you'll pay about $1,400 with only 4 direct carriers to Athens, Greece. And Rome is, at least a few more carriers, and it's a little more expensive, but who wants to go to Rome anyway? Just kidding. I have a very good friend of mine who's Italian. I always tell him, I say, Joe Mazzella, you know what lasagna is? Lasagna is what people make when they can't make pastis. Anyways, just to throw that. Anyway, we go back and forth. Like, he has his comebacks too, but please use that as much as you like. Moving forward, the 7th thing that I would encourage us to do is promote these accelerator programs. The Hellenic Initiative I was not aware of is actually here in the States. That's wonderful to know, both in the States and Greece. These other ventures, but if you do a quick Google search in America, there are so many of these. It would take you a year just to write down all their contact information. These, from a cursory scan, are some of the major ones. End over Greece, 16 companies in 2010, 144 in 2013. We're making gains, or is this just a Hawthorne effect? We can see that once people want to see companies, all of a sudden now we see people acting on it. So something to think about. But let me tell you about Metavolo and why I'm here. And as I was sharing earlier, hoping to actually be in Athens next weekend. They have an accelerator program that gives people up to 25,000 euros for seed money towards their own company. Along with that, they give monthly startup cooperations. They organize a trip to Silicon Valley. A startup that I'm involved in, we just made it to the finals for that. And as a result, I'll be flying to Athens, Greece next week. What I'll tell you is exciting for me as a Greek American is that I couldn't get anyone to listen to us in the United States. I'm not a Harvard grad, I'm not a Stanford grad, I'm not a Princeton grad. All these tech accelerators, you need someone who is already part of the school. I went to Pennsylvania universities, Penn State University. But I realized, there are pools abroad where they want talent, and someone like ourselves might raise them a few. So I would encourage the same thing. If you're not being heard here in the United States, maybe that's reason to apply in Greece. This is the startup. We scan interior spaces. It's called honeycomb.com, and we tag interior spaces with 360 technology, so that as you're navigating through the space, like Google Street View, you can buy and sell things as you're walking through the space. Kind of a neat extra step in the e-commerce world, featuring digital store view. So, last but not least, create a culture of entrepreneurship at all age levels. And let me just share you an exercise that we use here in the United States that's gained some momentum. It is called the $5 challenge. And if you guys were one of my classrooms, we would give this entrepreneurship story, and I'd say, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give each of you $5, €5. Okay? You have 5 weeks to multiply the $5 as many times as you can in an effort to see it accumulate. And if you fail, forgiveness. You want to buy a Snickers bar and a Gatorade or a Tirokita and whatever you guys drink there, by all means, we're not going to go run after you, But if you choose the blue pill, you choose to use the $5, let's see where it goes. So here's a few examples. We had one girl, again, and what we find that people that are most successful are not the college students, they're not the middle age, they're actually our high school and middle school students. One girl, 12 years old, took $5, printed 500 sheets of dog sitting flyers, put it around her neighborhood, raised 187. We need that girl on Wall Street. That's a return. Next group, we had a classroom that said, we're going to take our $5 and bring it together and do a movie night, and they raised $2,007. But what I want to share with you is the most outstanding, this just happened in a place called Lakeview Academy in Gainesville, Georgia, is a group took $5 and with 10 people and took $50 and helped a girl with cancer. They made that $70,000. Okay, these are a group of middle schools. So my encouragement to us as Greeks, fellow Greeks, and Hellenes, and the whole thing is, can we just, all this about waiting for government officials to do things, can we just do things today to see an impact tomorrow or now? $5 challenge. So with that said, I'm sure you're wondering, this presentation where Greeks always talk a long time and we start late, and that's just part of the deal. So saves you a trip to Athens, right? No cost, right? But you're probably wondering, this presentation, is entrepreneurship a Greek word? Right. In my lack of Greek fluency. Well, if you look at the word entrepreneurship, you break it into its two parts. It's actually a French derivative. The entre is the French for to enter. But the preneurship, what the heck is that? Preneurship. Is that an animal? Is that a machine? Well, if you break it down, it is a derivative of the Latin word prendere, which is actually a derivative of a Greek word, which is governor. And so to take or to grasp. And so in effect, entrepreneurship, to enter into a scenario where you're going to grasp the opportunity, you're going to take the opportunity for what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, entrepreneurship is a Greek word. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Dimitri?
I know I've run grossly over time, so I'm happy to cash in between coffee hours as well. But,
Okay. 1, 2 questions then.
2 questions? Yeah. Please.
Very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
What is your major program?
I actually graduated with an entrepreneurship degree from Juniata College, Central Pennsylvania. Small liberal arts school, 1,600 students.
Why the shipping business was not attractive to it?
You know what it was?
Your whole
Yeah, somewhere else. I felt that shipping was an old industry where innovation was just not part of the. It's a lot about maintaining wealth. It's about getting more ships and steel value. And all that's excellent. I mean, I learned a lot. But in terms of impacting tens and dozens and hundreds and thousands of lots of people. I mean, you can operate a shipping company out of a small office with 6 people, and you can charter using these ships, and you have basically need an accountant, a receptionist, a charterer, and your CEO. I mean, it's a very focused impact. What I wanted to see is, can we use entrepreneurship in a way to broaden the aim and hit more people? So I learned some beautiful things. I admire my family, my cousins, the shipping industry. I've learned a lot, but I wanted to do more that would impact more people. Thank you for the question. Second question?
Thank you so much for your
Yes.